I'm Chris Ensing. Here's what's making news right now.
At the end of a nice meal, it's nice to have a bonbon. So I started making them for friends and family, and people started saying they enjoyed them. So it kind of started like that.
Yes, he's pretty famous in downtown Windsor. Feather hat guy.
On that dune, it contains nesting endangered species. And that type of reckless disregard for that type of habitat is very, very concerning.
Thanks for joining us. Katarina's away tonight. Some seniors will not be able to go home this Christmas unless they're willing to give up their long-term care bed. It's a measure put in place by the Ministry of Long-Term Care to help limit the spread of COVID-19. The ministry saying this decision comes as the rate of community infection rises. CBC's Ashta Shetty takes a closer look.
Residents of long-term care homes have a pretty tough decision to make this Christmas. They can either spend the holidays with family or they can choose to avoid losing their spot at their long-term care home. The Ministry of Long-Term Care's new guidelines allow facilities to discharge seniors who choose to leave homes overnight. If they want to come back after the holidays, they will be placed on a readmission wait list. The news coming as a surprise to Dylan Redmile, who was at Isler Lodge to visit his grandmother this afternoon.
It seems like no matter what the circumstances, you should be able to spend time with your family. I don't understand why they'd not be able to leave just for one night. I mean, what's one night really gonna do if you go hang out with your nephew or son or grandson? I don't know why they wouldn't be able to leave. It seems a little ridiculous to me.
In a statement to CBC News, the Ministry of Long-Term Care says residents who choose to leave a home under an outbreak will have their readmission process expedited. And while these rules are in place for all residents thinking of spending Christmas night with family, there are limited social day trips available to residents who are fully vaccinated. Residents who are not vaccinated can also leave during the day, but only if it's for an essential reason, like a medical appointment. Ashta Shetty, CBC News, Windsor.
Ontario's Ministry of the Solicitor General is investigating the recent death of an inmate at the Southwest Detention Centre. The ministry says paramedics brought an inmate to the hospital on December 7th. That person died on December 18th. The ministry would not provide any details around the death, but multiple investigations are now underway. Major work is being done at Hillman Marsh in Leamington. Shoreline work aimed at keeping the natural gem intact. But the conservation area says some are taking advantage of a new access road ripping through sensitive habitats. A spot of beauty even with blistering cold wind. Hillman Marsh sits on the edge of Lake Erie, a shoreline slipping away.
It is a very significant holding, and it's a critical refugia for habitat for this reach of Lake Erie.
Ducks Unlimited has paired with the Essex Region Conservation Authority to protect the marsh. This project, funded in part through a $30 million provincial program, Southern Ontario has lost 70% of coastal wetlands. This work helps keep the area stable, managed by the Conservation Authority to protect the animals that call this place home.
Hillman Marsh is actually the home of several actually significant endangered species. Spiny softshell turtle have been seen in there, eastern fox snake. It's a great resting spot for waterfowl. We're undertaking a significant project, a maintenance project with Ducks Unlimited right now, because internal to the area where we're stood at right now, there are large cells that we control water levels within to enhance wetland growth in there.
Here's the problem. As IRCA and Ducks Unlimited do this work to reestablish the shoreline as the waves crash in from Lake Erie and further erode what's left of the sand, well, people are pushing these rocks aside, using this access path for their ATVs and spitting up that dirt, and it's destroying the habitat that species need to survive.
On that dune, it contains nesting endangered species. And that type of reckless disregard for that type of habitat is very, very concerning. And it's not like the ones who are accessing don't know. They do. They also are well aware they shouldn't be there, but they are. So we're serving them notice now. The police have been contacted. my officers are having a close watch at it. If they're found and they're committing, they're going to be charged.
Increased enforcement could protect the marsh from something catastrophic.
A lot of people have put their heart and soul into getting this restored, and some people just feel that they can take advantage of an opportunity when they see it.
Just a reminder of some of the natural beauty that we're losing because of all of this climate change. Now, 'tis the season for sweets, chocolates in particular. CBC met up with Artisan chocolatier Stephen Beaumont. He's part of a small community here who are creating made in Windsor chocolates.
I like to think of them as little pieces of edible art. I think I made about 2,500 chocolates this season, which is a crazy amount. When I started off, I was making about 32 at a time. I've been in the hospitality business all my entire life, and I've been exposed to chocolates. I started making them really for fun, to add some additional dimension to dinner parties. At the end of a nice meal, it's nice to have a bonbon. And then during the pandemic, it became something that I enjoyed doing, and people seem to enjoy eating them and actually buying them in the end. It's a fairly long process. It takes about 4 days to make a bonbon. I start off by using one of these molds. It's a polycarbonate mold, and I use colored cocoa butter, and I paint the inside of these molds with the colored cocoa butter, which has to be in perfect temper. After that, I line the molds with chocolate, so I have to get tempered chocolate, pour it into the molds, turn it upside down, tap it out, and then I get hopefully a nice thin shell. After that is crystallized, I fill them using a piping bag, let that then crystallize, and then I cap them off with more chocolate. So when they're set, I turn them upside down, tap them out, and then I have hopefully a perfect shiny bonbon. But the best part is when you knock them out at the end. And the biggest thrill is if you knock out one of those molds and they all come out at once. It doesn't always happen. Usually there's one or two stubborn ones that stick in the mold just a little bit, but that's the highest part of satisfaction that I get. It's magical when that happens. Well, chocolate is a very precise art and a science, of course, as well. So unless you get every element absolutely right in terms of temperature, timing, agitation, then there are going to be some casualties. And when that happens, I eat them, or my wife eats them, or we give them away.
Pretty sweet look at the local industry there. Some mainstream companies are taking steps to be more inclusive with their products. They're working to make them more accessible for people with visual or physical impairments. CBC's Nisha Patel has the report.
Everybody else can see and grab the ones they want except me.
It may be just a box of chocolates, but for the blind community, it's a taste of independence.
I got it!
So we talked a lot to people who are in the blind community, and they share that they often feel like they're forgotten.
The Purdy's chocolate box features Braille on the outside and a Braille chocolate legend inside.
This is rare to find Braille on a product.
John Ray has been blind for most of his adult life. Without the Braille on this box, he would have to ask a store clerk for help.
We do not like having to rely on others as much as we do.
With 1 in 5 Canadians living with a disability, businesses of all sizes are starting to take inclusive packaging more seriously.
Our new limited edition Easy Open Lid.
Beauty brand Olay changed the packaging of some face creams.
Degree has created the world's first adaptive deodorant.
Degree is testing new packaging featuring a Braille label. It can also be opened with one hand. Christina Mallon helped bring this campaign to life.
My personal goal is to make inclusive design the only way people design.
After becoming paralyzed in both arms 10 years ago, Mallon now works with companies to improve product accessibility.
I do show them the business numbers about how this will increase customer happiness, employee happiness, that will help their bottom line.
Surveys show that adapting packaging to all abilities creates loyal customers. Back in Toronto, Ray says it's just good business.
When something is done to make a building or a product or a program more accessible, allegedly for us, it often helps many others.
And seeing even more inclusive packaging on store shelves permanently would be sweet success. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
You know who is making his way across Canada tonight. There's at least one home ready to greet him. This Windsor man has one room of his house decked out in Santas. Jacob Barker got a first-hand look.
Hello, my name is Daniel Reyes Aguilar, and I like to collect Santas. I think, there we go. Clap centered. It makes me happy when I see Santa and joyful when I see Santa.
Where do you get all of these Santa Clauses?
From thrift stores, from old shops, you know, sometimes some Santas are from the US. I got it when I was a little kid, and I have it still as this day, you know.
How old were you?
Oh, I think I was 7 or 8 years old. I think one of my relatives actually bought it for me. That was my beginning of my journey. They're all like battery operated, all electric, you know, different kinds.
Do you really like the ones that make music?
Yes.
And move?
Yes.
Why do you like that?
I don't know, it makes me joyful, and all the different music it plays, you know, it makes me happy.
Is there one that you found that was like a good deal?
Here, this one, you know, in the internet, they sell these ones for quite a lot of money, and I got a good bargain. Here's, I think I have the price. Oh yeah, $5.99. Valley Village. It's really rocking.
Yeah. What's it like when you find a good deal like that? How does it feel?
It feels so good.
So when you're showing your friends or family, how do they react?
They like, you know, have a wow factor, you know. They're shocked. They say, wow, that's a lot of Santas here.
How many are there?
130.
Are there any Santas that you have your eye on right now that you want to get?
Yes, I have a big bucket list for this year.
How many are on your list?
Oh, a lot.
Do you want other people to see what you've gotten over the years?
Yes. I want to make this as an attraction so people can come here and, you know, look all my different kind of Santas, you know. Yeah. Not this year because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know. For all my Santas, for me, Merry Christmas.
Now, speaking of figurines, one of Windsor's best-known downtown residents, Ron Lattiser, aka Feather Hat Guy, has received his very own action figure. The figure was created by Windsor-based clothing line Brand Dead, released just in time for Christmas. So far, 5 have been made. They've already sold out, but the CBC's Mike Evans was able to get his hands on this one right here. He took it to the streets to ask Windsorites what they thought about this beautiful-looking figurine.
Do you recognize the gentleman in the action figure there?
It's Windsor icon, the Feather Hat Man.
Is it something that everybody in Windsor knows about, is this guy?
Yeah, he's a legend around here.
And what do you think that somebody took the time to have him made into an action figure?
I think it's awesome. I can't believe it. I can't believe this is real.
Who is that action figure?
That is Feather Hat Man.
And who is Feather Hat Man, for those who don't know?
He's a Windsor institution. You see him especially downtown all the time.
How does it make you feel that somebody took the time to make an action figure of Feather Hat Man?
Happy. It's nice that Windsor tends to get forgotten in a lot of things. So it's nice that we actually get some kind of representation. We get kind of our name out there.
It's the legendary Feather Hat Man.
Now, how do you know about Feather Hat Man?
I just recall him from being downtown and seeing a man walking down the street, always with a tall feather in his hat.
Yes, he's pretty famous in downtown Windsor. Feather Hat Guy.
How does it make you feel to know that somebody has immortalized him as an action figure?
I actually think it's kind of cool, you know? I don't know, he was always just a recognizable figure you saw downtown. I will buy some for my kids because they always remember the Feather Hat Guy, so I will.
You're a legend, Ron.
Thank you. I feel like one.
Certainly is. Nice to see Ron at the end there. Brand Dead is giving a portion of the proceeds of each action figure sold to Feather Hat Guy. More are expected to become available soon. We'll take a live look outside. If we were looking towards the sky there, I wonder if we'll be able to track Santa's sleigh as he makes his way across the world, delivering some prized possessions, a little wrapped up gifts to everybody who's been nice. Nick Sirkovich is coming up next. He'll give us a look at the forecast for that little holiday break where we all forget what day it is.
Hi, I'm David Boyd from BMO Nesbitt Burns, and it's the season to give, especially during these most difficult pandemic times. CBC is underway with their Sounds of the Season campaign to make a difference for those in need. For more information, visit cbc.ca/Windsor.
Nick joins us now for a live look at the weather. Puddles instead of snow plows today when I was looking around.
I know, eh? I was trying real hard for the for the white Christmas, but it's just not happening. No, 9 degrees right now in Windsor, and that warm weather is actually spreading across southern Ontario. Believe it or not, tomorrow, Chris, double digits. Whew. Double digits for
Mike
Christmas
Evans
Day.
is going to be happy. He doesn't want that snow.
Yeah, exactly. It's all spreading actually right across southern Ontario. So Windsor seeing the warm weather first. 9 degrees right now is where we're sitting. And we've had some showers. We've got cloud cover in play here. And we're going to see more in the way of showers tonight. So really at this point, if you see anything right now, it's just going to be light drizzle. But overnight tonight, we've got some spotty showers in the forecast. I think this forecast model's overdoing it a little bit, but in any case, potential there for about 5 to 10 millimeters of rain across the region. In fact, by the time we hit tomorrow night, or evening, I should say, things start to clear out. Generally clear for tomorrow evening into Sunday as well, with a mix of sun and cloud to mostly sunny skies, and then we get a bit of cloud cover moving in for our next weather system that'll push in for Sunday night and Monday. In terms of rainfall totals, that's a look at southern Ontario. Generally speaking, the model's calling for about 10 millimeters of rain. I think it's probably going to be 5 to 10 millimeters of rain, but in any case, some wet weather tonight. Most of this, though, falling through the overnight. When hopefully you're sleeping so that Santa can make his way into your home. But by tomorrow, things start to clear out. 9 degrees through the overnight. Now, what's going to happen here is the temperatures, one of two things. Either in Windsor, for example, they'll stay steady at 9, but for areas to the east, the temperatures are a reverse temperature trend. So normally they'll drop through the overnight. You're actually going to see them rising. So these will be sort of at midnight and then climbing. Fog patches developing. Those will dissipate through tomorrow afternoon. Double digits in the forecast for tomorrow. Cloudy skies with a little hint of sunshine as we head toward the end of the day. All right, here's the forecast for the next 5. Now, as I said, double-digit highs for Windsor on Christmas Day, 11 degrees, and then we got single digits and a few rain showers. The flurries that you see here on Monday, it looks kind of strange because it's 5 degrees. That's coming from the overnight low on Sunday of -2. There you have it. How's that for the last week of, the year?
That's not bad. That's right. That's that moment where we're all trying to figure out what we're doing with our lives anyways, right? Nobody knows if it's Monday, Thursday, or some other day, and so why not then? That's not that bad. Thanks for this, Nick, man. Have a good Christmas, enjoy your weekend, and have a good New Year too, eh?
You too.
Thanks. The Prime Minister's message to Canadians is one where he's urging us to find hope during a particularly dark year. We'll have some of that next.
I'm Jane St. Louis.
And I'm Xavier Seguin.
It is the season for giving. That's where CBC's Sounds of the Season comes in.
For more information, visit cbc.ca/Windsor.
As the end of the year draws near, CBC News is reflecting on some of those memorable stories that we've covered. Tonight, Jennifer LaGrassa goes back to the summer when she met up with a community living resident who was happy to be vaccinated, but didn't know whether his caregivers were.
I'm Jennifer LaGrassa, and my most memorable story of 2021 was about Nick Sherman. Nick Sherman is a community living resident, so he lives in a home with other people who require hands-on care. Now, Nick is pretty independent. He gets around in a wheelchair. And this past summer was the summer of the vaccine, as we all know, so he was looking forward to getting his shots and being able to go out and live his life again. So I joined him. I joined him on his first trip back to the mall since the pandemic began. He literally had not been outside of his house to go to the mall or really to go anywhere in the last 18 months. There's a lot of layers to Nick's story that really stand out for me. Nick is someone who, as I said, was not really able to leave his home. That was due to community living rules, but also because of his vaccination status. He wanted to be fully protected before he went out into public. And it made me think about all the little moments in the pandemic where there was windows where restrictions lifted and I could go to the mall and I could go to stores and restaurants occasionally when things lifted. But Nick never really had that opportunity until he was absolutely safe. Another thing that his trip to the mall brought up to me was the idea of accessibility. So Nick being in a wheelchair, getting around the mall, for the most part it was accessible for him, but there was still a lot of stores where the aisles were a little bit too narrow, or even countertops when he would go to talk to people behind cash registers, that he couldn't really access them as easily. And so on top of the wheelchair and accessibility being a challenge for him, he also, was dealing with more shields and barriers in terms of the pandemic. So a mask and a face shield. And watching him navigate all these challenges was very interesting to see. But through it all, he remained really headstrong, and he was such a joyous and fun person to interact with and meet. But what stood out for me was that throughout this pandemic, I've always thought about the idea of us re-experiencing moments for the first time. Even though there was so much bad that came out of COVID-19 and continues to come out of this pandemic, there's a little silver lining there, which is the idea that we can sort of re-enjoy the small things that we had missed out on. So whether that's being in a coffee shop and hearing the bustling of people again, or for Nick, it was just strolling around the mall again, taking in the smell of Cinnabon and seeing people interact.
That's a good point. What's old is new again once these restrictions lift up. Now, in his annual holiday message, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau talks about the tough year that everyone has had to deal with, but says there are also reasons to stay hopeful.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays, Canada. 'Tis the season for traditions old and new, for connecting with loved ones near and far, and most of all, 'tis the season for hope. Now, I know it might not feel like we have a whole lot to be hopeful about. After all, 2021 was another tough year, and we're not out of the woods yet. But here's the thing. We got through it together. Over the past year, we helped our neighbors. We supported our local businesses. We stayed home, skipped celebrations, and wore masks to keep each other safe. Our kids missed sleepovers and birthday parties, and we rolled up our sleeves to get vaccinated so we could defeat this virus. In other words, we showed up for each other. Because of that, we have one of the best vaccination rates in the world, and we created over 1 million jobs. We can, and we should, take comfort in the knowledge that there is no limit to what we can achieve when we pull together. So this season, and as we come into a new year, let's keep showing up for one another. Let's encourage our friends and family to get their vaccine and booster shots. Let's follow public health measures, wear our masks, and keep our distances. Let's keep being safe and smart, and let's finish the fight against COVID-19 so we can build a better future for everyone. My friends, brighter days are ahead, and we'll reach them together. From our family to yours, Hadrian, Ella Grace, Xavier, Sophie, and I wish you joy, health, and love this holiday season and beyond. Merry Christmas, everyone.
And that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go on our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media too. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Now, next week, CBC will be airing CBC News Toronto at 6. We'll be back January 3rd. Now, we leave you tonight watching Santa as he drops off gifts across the world with a nice little jingle behind it as well. Have a great night. a Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year.